This happened to me a few years ago when I was 13. I've always enjoyed the Pokemon series, but there was one game in particular, Pokemon Emerald, or any of the Gen 3 games that I wanted to play but couldn't afford. One day while I was making my way to the playground, I stumbled into a garage sale. I decided to look at some of the items they had because I was interested. I walked over to a Game Boy Advance game cartridge I had seen and realised it was a Pokemon game. Pokemon Husk. I'd never heard of that one. Naturally, I was aware that it was a bootleg game, but I thought, why not? I had nothing to do and I thought it would be interesting to play a bootleg Pokemon game. I brought it to the elderly man operating the garage stand and paid him $1 for it. The game cartridge had Pokemon Husk scribbled over it in red marker. Otherwise, it appeared to be a standard Pokemon Emerald cartridge. Brought it home, inserted the Game Boy Advance cartridge, and found a save file entitled Brendan inside. I selected the file, found myself in a forest, and wanted to see what Pokemon he had. He just had a Shedinja that knew the moves Sunny Day and Grudge. I travelled about for a while before I ran into a trainer named Emerald. Brendan sent out Shedinja, and Emerald sent out Duskull, and we got into a Pokemon battle. Everything was normal until I used Grudge. It said Shedinja used Decay, rather than Grudge. The trainer spite for Emerald appeared to be deteriorating, and Duskull's skull was missing, revealing a multitude of terrifying eyes underneath. I was terrified, but I was unable to turn the Game Boy off, so I was forced to continue playing. I noticed that Brendan and Shedinja's sprites had horrified expressions. It was almost as though Shedinja didn't want it to happen. It creeped me out even more. It was my turn. I used Sunny Day and the backdrop of the Pokemon battle started to burn. This creepily ended the battle. Instead of the usual fainted messages, it said, Brendan died, before Brendan's sprite faded away. The screen went black and a message said, they are husks. They are dead, before my Game Boy shut off. My Game Boy was broken. It was unable to turn on. I went to an electronics repair shop where they informed me that the Game Boy was basically a husk because the internal components had been badly fried. There was nothing they could do. I decided to head to the house where the garage sale was held for answers, but when I arrived, it had been burned down. A passerby told me that the house had been burned down for years. I'm still not sure what happened. I know I bought the game because I still have it. What do I do?